All right. Well, hello, everyone. I'll sit here and wait till we get some people in the chat. Hopefully, my students got the message on Dojo, and they'll be able to join me shortly. But it is Mr. G again, here live on a Saturday. Might be a little bit of an off time. Some of you might have a conversation with me through the chat. You guys should be able to put your comments right there, and I should be able to see them today. I was able to monkey around in the settings there on YouTube and was able to get the chat turned on. So if you're here in the live stream, thank you very much. If it's okay to catch this on the rewatch, but my plan was that if there are some of my students decided to join us in the chat, I'd be able to have a conversation with you guys. Plan is also to read at least another chapter out of Evil Spy School. Hopefully you guys are all right. You guys are being safe. I know this is I would say it's kind of crappy weather that we're having on this Saturday. It was raining early this morning. It's not really very warm out. And then also there's no sun, which makes it kind of seem a little depressing outside. I find it frustrating. I miss seeing the sun. When I go outside to go for a walk around my neighborhood, I want to see the sun. And that's been kind of hard. And like I said earlier, guys, if you just jumped in, I did turn on the live chat. So if you guys have questions or comments for me, you guys can put them right there in the chat, and I'll be able to respond to you, whether verbally here through the video, or I could even type a response also. But hopefully you guys are doing well. And I guess if you guys don't have any questions or comments before we get started, I'll just get right into it. We'll read the next chapter of Evil Spy School. For those of you in my class at Laura Haviland Middle School room, if you guys remember from yesterday, our heroes kind of figured out Spider's plan after a few mishaps of being chased all over New York Harbor by the New Jersey police, the New York Police Department, and CIA and Homeland Security, all chasing after them. They hid out on Liberty Island inside the Statue of Liberty. Ben found out that Statue of Liberty, was secretly a military fortress back in the day and used to be a lookout for the U.S. military to see any approaching ships in the distance entering New York Harbor. There, he chatted with Erica, her father Alexander, and Grandpa Cyrus, trying to figure out what their next move was going to be. Ben shared with them that he figured out what the plan was, that based on the math problems he was having to solve in his classes at Evil Spy School, that basically he was figuring out equations for, latitudes and longitudes for missile strikes and finding out how much ordnance was needed to deliver to destroy certain bridges. Would come to find out Spider wants to destroy all the bridges that connect New York City to the rest of the United States. They want to cut it off. And Ben also said, I know where Spider's keeping their missiles. They're back at the Hidden Forest Estate, back at their headquarters, and they're located in the septic tanks. That are labeled septic tanks, but they're really camouflaged missile silos. So we kind of left off with them deciding that they need to get off of Liberty Island and get back on the mainland, find a means of transportation, and come up with a plan to bust back into Hidden Forest. So we will pick up with Chapter 20, cleverly titled Bait, because they needed bait. And Ben had the idea that they could be the bait to get the CIA to follow them. So we're still on Liberty Island. It is currently $0 on September 18th. Our clothes were all hanging in the bathrooms in the museum in the base of the statue. So we're still in the Statue of Liberty. Cyrus had dismantled the hand dryers and rejiggered them to blow hot air constantly over our things. It had been only moderately effective. The shoulders and lower legs of my outfit were still cold and damp, while the area around my crotch was so overheated I could have baked a potato in my pants. However, there was no option but to suit up and move out. That was a little There was little chance of escaping the island and overthrowing Spider while wearing beach towel skirts. The secret passage out of the statue began in the long-forgotten storage room and tunneled into a trapdoor hidden deep in the largest clump of trees on the island. We emerged and set off after the lone crew of CIA agents that were still hunting for us. There were 6 of them, but they were spread out in 3 groups of 2. After hours of repeatedly wandering the same 15 acres without finding so much as a trace of us, they decided that this was a pointless assignment and dropped their guard. The island wasn't well lit, and there were plenty of shadows to lurk in, so Cyrus and Erica were able to quickly reduce the number of conscious agents to 4, then to 2, and then to none. Alexander and I tied them all up and then stripped them of their weapons, batty about the assignment. He was sitting in the bridge playing a game on his phone. He didn't pay much attention when Alexander wandered up onto the boat looking like any other CIA agent until Alexander jammed a stolen gun in the guy's ear and ordered him to take us to the mainland. The captain quickly agreed and even dismantled his radio himself, as we understood he wasn't going to try anything stupid and get himself killed. The few boats still tried to find the remnants of us in the water were on the other side of the island, so no one noticed that we pulled away from the dock. New Jersey isn't far from Liberty Island. Parts are so close that if the water hadn't been full of garbage and toxic waste, we could have swam to it. The trip back to where we left our car didn't take long. On the way, I borrowed Erica's phone and dialed Zoe's bell. I never forgot a phone number, especially that of the one person in the whole world I was certain I could trust. Zoe answered groggily, aroused from sleep. Hello? Hey, I said, it's Ben. Smokescreen? Zoe instantly was awake. She had lowered her voice to a whisper, but I could still hear the mix of excitement and concern in it. What's happening out there? The word is that you and the Hales have joined the dark side. I don't believe it, of course, but the rest of the CIA seems to. Believe it, I said. I've joined the dark side. No, you haven't. If you really joined the dark side, you certainly wouldn't be telling me that you had. You'd be telling me that you hadn't. So if I said I hadn't joined the dark side, then you'd think I had? Never. I know you, Ben, better than any of these other idiots do. No matter what you tell me, I know you're not a traitor. I am, Zoe, I swear. I'm a traitor to my country and very, very dangerous. So I need you to alert the school administration that you know exactly where I'm to do that. You're my friend. Pulling around her desk for a few moments. Okay. I gave her the exact latitude and longitude just to make sure she had it right. I didn't want her to send a CIA team to attack an innocent gated community by mistake. I had to report this right away, I told her. Tell your resident advisor and have her wake up the principal and every professor she can find. Don't tell them I asked you to turn me in, though. They'll be suspicious of that. Tell them that you figured out where I have been. Tell them that you always suspected I was no good, and so you put a tracer in my old phone. You've known where I've been all along, but you didn't know I'd joined the enemy until you heard the news a few hours ago. And now you're tracking me, and you know I'm heading back to Spider's secret headquarters. They'll never believe that I was suspicious of you, Zoe argued. I was always going on about how great you are, which you only did so that I dropped my guard around you and let you get close to me. Very sneaky of you, really. Probably worth some sort of commendation when the CIA follows up on your tip and captures me. By the way, just so the CIA doesn't get confused when they get there, Spider's top secret headquarters looks like a gated residential community. Not really, I thought. Back when that you know where I am, and they need to be something that'll make everything else Spider good friend. Just past our car, there was an enormous construction subject. Siege. Spider Agent Trading Facility. September 8th would be something along the lines of waiting on the other side. That makes you our key asset. And we can't just have you sitting on the radio, talking us through it. You need to be there in the thick of it in case things change. Or we lose radio contact. Don't worry, though. We'll protect you as well as we can. Sam girded myself a case in the car filled with all sorts of other supplies he had amassed over the past few weeks. Everything we need to infiltrate Spider's compound. That it was a bad idea to fight the enemy if you were hypoglycemic. The CIA had shown up in full force, led by Agent Raffieri, who obviously had a chip on his shoulder as far as Cyrus Hale was concerned. Sorry about that, guys. There were more than 60 agents spread out around the perimeter of the gated community. We had to park well down the road and slip quietly through the field so that they wouldn't notice our approach. However, they weren't very focused on what was behind them. They were focused on had set up his command center. I couldn't see any spider agents on the far side of the wall, but I had no doubt that they were there, watching the CIA closely. Walled city, the CIA was looking to breach it the same way an armored knights would. Beyond the wall, I could even see the rec center high in the middle of the compound. Every agent bristling with guns and knives. Armored cars had towed and mortars as well. Once they were all in position, Rafferty got a bullhorn and spoke to everyone at Hidden Forest. This is Agent Holler Rafferty of the Central Intelligence Agency. You are surrounded. Cease all hostile acts at once, or we will have no choice. You pot shots at the community wall. Spider agents reflexively returned fire. The wall around Hidden Forest turned out to be more medieval than I had thought. There were secret holes built in to it to shoot through, the same way castle walls had slits for crossbows. The CIA agents immediately shot back. Rafferty shouted at everyone to stand down, but Cyrus blasted the blowhorn out of his hands, muting him. After the assault spiraled out of control, most of the activity took place at the weakest points in the community's perimeter, where the CIA had hoped to break through. The front gates and the spot where I had driven a bulldozer through the wall that afternoon. Spider had hastily patched the hole in the wall with plywood and strung electrical wire across the top, but it had been a rush job. They apparently had not expected. Cyrus and Erica had pinpointed the perfect place to breach the perimeter, a towering oak tree 30 feet from the wall. We scrambled. It caught in the upper story of an unfinished frame house, after which we fastened our end of the wire around the tree branch, clenching it taut, then clipped onto it with the carbineers and then rock climbing belts. Cyrus and Alexander went first to make sure it was safe. No one from Spider or the CIA seemed to notice them as they glided silently toward the wall. The moment they crossed over the wall, however, alarms went off. Sirens wailed so loudly that they could even be heard over the gunfire. Shoot, Erica muttered. They must have some sort of laser system to detect intruders. We better move now. Now, I repeated, though in a much more frightened tone of voice, but Spider knows we're coming over the wall. No, Spider knows someone is coming over the wall, so they'll be looking for invaders inside the perimeter, not above it. But won't inside the perimeter soon? Rather than argue the point, she simply launched herself down the zip line and dragged me along with her. The ride down the wire took only a few seconds, but it felt like weeks. En route, I could see Spider agents racing through the darkness, converging on the frame house where Cyrus and Alexander were now holed up. I kept waiting for someone to spot us on the wire where we were sitting ducks, or at least gliding ducks. But Cyrus and Alexander started shooting, grabbed Spider's attention, and we slid to safety unnoticed. We alighted in the upper story of a frame house. Cyrus and Alexander were on the far side from us, taking cover behind a stack of plywood. Get going, Cyrus ordered us. We'll draw their fire. We will? Alexander asked nervously, but Cyrus had already started shooting again. Spider agents shot back at them, filling the stack of plywood with more holes than a loaf of Swiss cheese. Erica and I went in the other direction, leaping out of the back of the house and skulking away before anyone could notice us. We then worked our way toward the rec center, moving in a wide arc around the spider agents, trading shots with Cyrus and Alexander. Despite all the fire, us to be stealthy. 2 helicopters raced overhead. They were unmarked, so it was impossible to tell whose side they were on. As we crept through hidden forest, I managed to catch a glimpse of some of the spiders, Henderson and Mr. Seabrook. I didn't see Joshua Howell or any of my fellow students, but then there was a big metallic Cold War relic with Soviet lettering on the side. I'd been right. Spider had Russian missiles. Come on, Erica ordered. They're preparing to fire. We don't have much time. She dropped any attempt at stealth and then bolted for the rec center. I took off after her. We raced out of the construction zone and across the croquet lawn. In the distance, some spider agents spotted us. They yelled something. We were too far away, and there was too much other noise to hear it properly. But it was probably something along the lines, stop, or we'll shoot. We didn't stop, so they shot. We dove for the decorative hedge. Bullets whizzed over our heads and shattered the glass walls of the rec center, which saved us the trouble from going through the door. Erica shot back, laying down cover fire as I scrambled across the carpet of glass shards, racing for the rock wall. It occurred to me that I wasn't panic. I wasn't screaming like I had done while being chased by a horde of first-year students during the Saxa. Maybe this was because I had matured into a better spy since then, or maybe it's because the simulations at spy school had prepared me well for a real-life action sequence. But I was impressed by how well I was handling the situation, all things considered. I reached the rock wall and twisted the proper handhold. The secret door hissed open. I held it that way while Erica raced for it. In the distance, well past the croquet lawn, pulled them off. Sure thing, sweetheart, Cyrus replied. I'm on it. Erica then led the way down the stairs. I knew it wasn't very chivalrous of me to let her do this, but then Erica was adept in all forms of combat, while I had the martial arts skills of a bowl of jello. She swept the hall at the bottom, and then signaled for me that it was safe to follow while she moved on in the kitchenette and the conference room. There were no enemy agents in either one. You can stop poking around out there, Murray called from the control room. The party's in here. Erica frowned and then led the way to the control room. There were fewer people inside than I expected. Joshua Halla wasn't there, or any of the other adults. Instead, there was only Nefarious and Murray. Nefarious was seated on the main couch staring at TV screens, which are displaying dozens of security camera feeds from all over the property at once. Most of them were showing the battles outside, though a few were trained on the missile silos as their hatches opened. One filmed the hall we had just come through. Nefarious was so focused on the screens, he didn't so much as glance at us. From the doorway, I could see only the back of his head. He was holding a custom-made joystick I had seen on my previous visit to the lair. Murray was seated in a lounge chair to the side of the couch, his feet propped up on a coffee table. He had no weapon, only a half-eaten frozen yogurt sundae. Being Murray, he had raided the toppings bar, choosing everything from crumbled Oreos to sour gummy worms. You didn't really think you could sneak up on us in here, did you? He chided. We've got cameras everywhere. But then I pretty much expected you to show up, Ben. That's pretty much your standard move, isn't it? Spider's about to put a plan into action, and you arrive mere minutes before it happens and try to thwart it, like clockwork. Erica aimed her gun directly at Murray's smiling face. Oh, we're not trying to thwart your plan. We're thwarting them. Shut off the missiles. Murray shrugged helplessly. Can't be done. Everything's pre-programmed. And after that little stunt you pulled on the last mission, Ben, we've hardwired the electrical systems. So you can't just yank the plug and be done with it. I wasn't talking to you, Erica growled. I know you're not smart enough to control the missiles. I was talking to your pal on the couch. Nefarious, abort the missiles or I'll shoot both of you. How about this instead? You drop your weapons or Ashley shoots both for Erica. She looked like she felt pretty bad about this, though. Sorry, she said. I really don't want to shoot you, but I will. How did you, I began, get behind you when you already swept the area? Ashley finished. There's a secret hiding place behind the Sunday bar. I guess you never got the full tour of the complex. She looked to Erica. You're still holding your gun. Erica then released her weapon, letting it clatter to the floor. Much better, Murray said, scooping yet more yogurt into his mouth. You're pathetic, Erica told him. I can't believe you're using missiles again. Where's the creativity in that? We got a good deal on them, Murray admitted. They're cheaper when you buy in bulk. And after we'd gone through all that trouble to smuggle them into the country, we figure we might as well use them. Plus, we've learned from the mistakes we made last time. Sorry, Ben, but there'll be no thwarting our plans tonight. At that moment, the room began to shake. There was a tremendous rumble from beyond the walls, and on the TV screens, 10 missiles each blasting off, streaking toward New York City. We were too late. All right. I gave you guys 2 chapters today. I think we'll stop there. If you guys have any questions, you guys can throw your questions in the chat, and I'd be more than willing to answer them. You know, I would love to hear what you guys are doing kind of in your self-isolation. Maybe I can get some ideas of what I can do here on my home. So I'm running out of things to do. There's only so much you could read and so much TV you can watch. But special weather bulletin. Now, flood watch for Washtenaw County. I don't know if you guys down in Lenawee County are getting under a flood watch, but we are now. Washtenaw County, where I live. Yeah, a lot of rain we got last night, and looks like we're going to get more rain here this evening. Well, if you guys don't have any questions or comments, you guys can always leave them here on the video afterwards for the replay, and I'll check them out there. Or, you can ask your families to send a message to me on Dojo. I will answer any questions or comments that are sent that way. I know one of you guys sent me a photo of a science experiment you guys did. It looked like you guys pickled an egg. That was kind of cool to see. Yeah, I would love to see any other activities or projects you and your families are doing at home. I heard an idea for a project that I'm wondering if any of you guys would be interested in doing. But I heard an idea that a teacher was having their students compose a story of what they're doing right now currently, being that most of us kind of have to stay put in our homes, and kind of writing about their story and experience, because with COVID-19 being classified as a worldwide pandemic, no one alive today has lived through something like this. Only our great grandmas and grandpas, back when, and they would have experienced the Spanish flu in the early 1900s, just after World War I, but that was well over 100 years ago. So anyone that was born the last 100 years, none of us have experienced anything like this. So I think it's cool if you guys want to start writing down what you guys are doing, because this could be stories you guys could save. And if any of you guys, when you're adults and you end up having kids of your own, your kids are going to be learning about this in their social studies and history classes, because this is so unprecedented that they're going to write it down and they're going to learn about it in school. And a cool way for them to learn about it would be from your own words. If you guys write them down, draw a comic, type it out and save it and add to it, like keep a journal, you guys could keep those stories and share them with your kids that you have in the future. And that would be a good firsthand account of what people did during this crazy time of all of a sudden that, we can't go to the movie theaters anymore. We can't go to sporting events. We can't go to restaurants, that we have to practice social distancing and essentially be in self-isolation. So if you guys are looking for an activity to do, that might be a good one. Start a journal, write things down. I know I've been writing some things down on and off, just so, things that I could remember of what I did, my feelings. Because I think a lot of it, being able to label it, it's okay to write down, I'm kind of scared because the news about this thing is so not good news. And there's not a whole lot of good news unless you go out to find it. And I know if you guys are feeling that way yourselves, know that you're not alone. I certainly have at times have caught myself kind of going into fear, like going, oh my God, what is going to happen to me? What's going to happen to my family? What's going to happen to my friends, my coworkers? And I even worry about you guys, my students, what's going to happen to you guys? And there's so many unknowns and there's so many what if scenarios, but I have to remind myself that I can't go into fear. That's something that, you're not going to make good decisions if you're constantly going into the fear. And you need to try, you can acknowledge it, but you can't let it dictate what you do and how you conduct yourself. It's hard not to do. And if you guys are struggling with that, know that, Mr. G struggles with that too. And I have to constantly remind myself to look for the positives. There's a quote that I saw just today when I was on, I can't remember, what was it, Facebook or Instagram. One of the teacher social media pages that I follow, I think it's Teacher to Teacher it was, and whether it was on Facebook or on Instagram, but it was a quote from Mr. Rogers. If you guys are familiar with Mr. Rogers, I know some of you guys are probably looking at Mr. G. Who the heck was Mr. Rogers? He was a guy that used to host a kids show on PBS Kids back when I was a kid, and when my parents were kids. It was Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, I believe was the name of the show. And the quote for him that this teacher page shared was what he talked about growing up during the Cold War era, which was Russia, the Soviet Union, and us having this uneasy tension where at any particular moment we could have used nuclear weapons on the other and just ended everything. And what he said that his mother told them to don't focus on the negatives. Don't look for the bad people in any news story. Look for the ones that are helping. Look for the helpers. There's always helpers in every story. And even in the news, you just got to look for who's helping. And I would say right now, the real heroes right now during this thing, they're the doctors, they're the nurses that are in the hospitals right now that are trying to save as many people as they can that are coming in sick with this virus. And they're doing so with very limited supplies and resources because we don't have enough protective equipment for them, or there's not enough life-saving equipment to save as many patients as they can. And they're kind of stuck having to make those tough decisions. The heroes are, the grocery store clerks who are constantly at work making sure those shelves are stocked. So whenever any of us gets up the courage to decide that, we will take the chance, go out, get our next batch of groceries so we are able to feed ourselves. Those grocery clerks, they're working long shifts to make sure that all their shelves are stocked so we don't run out of food. I would say other heroes that we can acknowledge and thank, are the delivery people, mail carriers from the U.S. Postal Service. My mom was a carrier for several years before she retired a few years ago, but she still has coworkers that are still working, and it's scary for them right now because they are constantly dealing with the public. And it's not just the mail carriers. You got your UPS delivery trucks, the brown trucks, and then you got the FedEx trucks, and then another unsung heroes right now are semi truck drivers that are delivering the goods to the grocery stores to make sure they don't run out of stuff, so they're able to continue keeping all of us supplied. Those are sort of things that I try to look for. I try to look for the people that are helping us out, looking for the positives. I know I saw a story on the news last night where one restaurant owner was asked to close his restaurant, but he was allowed to keep it open and keep his staff employed and let them have their job still. And he is solely prepping meals to feed the nurses and the hospital staff at hospitals that are dealing with patients that are treating them for COVID-19. And I thought, wow, it's really nice to see that there are people that are willing to help out, are people that are risking their lives to save lives. And it's nice that, they are trying to do these nice things for them. So try not to give in to fear. Look for the helpers in the stories that you see on the news. Or you can also practice what Mr. G has been doing, limiting how much news you watch, because you only need to watch a little bit to kind of get a picture of what's going on in the world. I know if some of you guys may have questions like me about if and when are we going to be able to go back to school and have some semblance of, a normal school day and normal routine. I would like to know the answer to that question, as I'm sure you guys and the families also want to know that. My understanding is our governor is going to be making an announcement this week. And as soon as she makes that announcement, I know our superintendent, Mark Haig, the superintendent of the Lenawee Intermediate School District, will then, be able to have framework of what the rest of the year will look like based on our governor's decision. And as soon as that's figured out, he'll let us, the staff, know, as I'm sure roughly around the same time, he'll let you, the families, know what's going to happen, what are our next steps. But I would say keep doing what you're doing. Share with me what you're doing. I would love to see what sort of activities you guys are doing at home. Like I said, I know one of you guys sent me a picture of a science experiment with the 2 eggs, one being in vinegar and the other not. That was kind of cool to see. So you're kind of doing a pickling experiment for a pickled egg. Another activity that I saw online was, how to show the water cycle. And they just filled up a Ziploc bag with a little bit of water and they taped it to their window so it got direct sunlight so they could see the evaporation, perspiration, and then the condensation, like clouds, and then it coming back down as water droplets back to the bottom of the bag. I thought that looked really cool. You guys should try that if you guys are interested in how the water cycle works. Maybe give that a try. Another thing that you guys could do with those Ziploc bags is, if you had paper towel, I know paper towels kind of like toilet paper being in short supply, but if you have some and you're able to spare some, you guys could put that in a Ziploc container. You could kind of staple it to the inside. And if you guys have beans, you guys could try to grow bean plants in those bags. And again, you just fill it up with enough water that, soaks the paper towel, and that, will give water to those bean seeds. And if you have the seed beans that can grow for plants, you guys could do an experiment of what makes a plant grow best. I know I did this experiment as a kid with those bags where I tested, having the normal, they both got the same amount of sunlight, but I gave one water, and then I decided to give another group decided to see what would happen if I only gave it Coca-Cola. The results were kind of surprising. At first, the Coke seemed to help, and then it didn't help. It stunted their growth. And my other ones, I got the water, they looked the best. So I would say if you guys want to do that, that'd be a cool science activity you guys can do. Otherwise, keep looking on social media. If I see anything, I, of course, will continue to share it on Class Dojo. If you guys want to send me pictures on Dojo of what you guys are doing, I would love to see them. I would love to have conversations with you guys about it. So my plan is I will do another stream on Monday. I haven't really decided on what time it will be. I may shoot for 11 a.m. I will let you guys know on Dojo when that will be. And I will plan on having that be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, roughly at about the same time. We'll for sure do it till we finish Evil Spy School. And then maybe I will, we could do it a vote in the comments of, what our next book should be. Like I said, I wasn't just able to get Evil Spy School. I grabbed a few read-aloud books from the shelf, books that I was planning on reading this year to go till the last day of school. Because the school let us staff return to our rooms to grab things that we thought we were going to need to be able to use to help our students, families, or whatnot. And I decided, I wanted to do read-alouds with you guys, so I went and grabbed at least 5 books that I thought would be good books. So maybe we'll do a vote once we finish up Evil Spy School. We don't have that much of the book left, guys. We're almost done with the book, so it could be as soon as Monday that I'll ask you guys in the chat, what book shall we get? Shall I read next? I know a lot of you guys are like, we should read Holes. We watched Holes as our lunch movie for about a couple weeks ago. So Holes will be one of the books, and I'll hold them up, and then in the chat, you guys can be able to let me know which book you want, and then that could be our next read aloud book, and we'll just kind of go from there. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, any comments, any concerns, you can message me on Dojo. That would be the quickest way. You guys can also email me at my email address, Jonathan, that's JONATHAN .Gibbons, GIBBONS, at LISD.US. I check my email every day as per the directions of school that, I have to check my email every day. So I am on there every day. So whether it's, you have a question, comment, concern, of course, like I said, if I see any resources, I will gladly share them with you guys because I know you guys are doing what you can. I would say, focus on, fun, quick family activities to continue trying to get in those little nuggets of learning in. And I want to hear what you guys are doing. Share what you've been doing, your experiences so far. I would love to see how creative some of you guys have been getting, whether it's, you guys did a cool artistic project, or you're like, my one student who sent me a picture of the science experiment that he did with the vinegar egg and a regular hard-boiled egg, I think it was. I would love to see those pictures, and I'd love to have those conversations. So hit me up on Dojo. I'm going to sign off now. It was great to be able to read another 2 chapters to you guys, and I look forward to hearing and seeing you guys soon. All right. This is Mr. G sign off. Stay safe. Stay healthy.